I talk, you listen. Welcome to my one-man panel of madness. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Geo Who, and I hope you had an awesome Halloween time. Maybe you don't celebrate Halloween, maybe you celebrate Samhain, but whatever you did last night, I hope you had a blast. I sure did. I did my traditional viewing of my favorite Halloween movies, and of course, doing some pumpkin carvings, which I have to say, I'm actually quite proud of the pumpkins I made yesterday, to the point where I've been researching how I could somehow keep my pumpkins year round because they just came out really good. I never actually carved them so well. I'm also in a place where Halloween is very much celebrated, and we had a lot of people in my town, my community, come in to visit and enjoy the Halloween season and festivities. So, but of course, we're here to talk about Doctor Who and the Halloween apocalypse. And so, before I start, I may say some things that may or may not be spoilery. So, if you have not watched the episode, don't listen, stop now, and then come back later once you've seen it. So, I've warned you. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's talk about the episode. So first off, I just have to say that I think that this season has kicked off fairly well. I do have to say that the episode, it moved. It moved rather quickly. But at the same time, I think we've got way too much stuff going on. And I kept saying last night as I was watching, I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Now we're here. Now we're there. Now this is happening. Now this story's coming in. And we got Vinder on a space station, which happens to be called Rose. All this stuff is going on. So it was it was a bit difficult to try to keep up with everything that was going on. But I've got to say, there are a lot of little Easter eggs, especially when we first meet Swarm. Obviously, they have to be on Gallifrey. We know that the Vision had something to do with his incarceration. The weapons that the two, which I'm assuming we know are two Time Lord agents, had the very same weapon that Ruth Doctor had back in the Jadoon episode with the introduction of a new Doctor, Dr. Ruth, I guess. So obviously this must have been Gallifrey, and it looks like it was filmed in the quarry, which we know they use for Gallifrey all the time. So we know now that this Swarm and Azure, his partner, had been captured, detained, we don't know why, by the Division. So this could have been the reason why they wiped the Doctor's mind. So I'm very excited. I mean, even from the very beginning, how everything started, it moved well. I think the relationship between Yaz and the Doctor, it's a lot more solid, to be honest, this season. I wasn't buying it in the last 2 series. Yaz was actually one of my least favorite. Actually, Ryan was one of my least favorite. But in this new episode, they have a very good bond. Like, she's actually helping to fly the TARDIS and stuff like that. And she seems like she's a good companion. She knows what she's doing. She's not just running around with the Doctor. She's helping the Doctor. So, very good start. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that stood out. Carbonista, I think his name. I want to say he was a bit of I want to say it was a bit of a cartoony character because it was a dog. I mean, it wasn't Chewbacca. It wasn't anything like that. I mean, it was straight out a dog. And, the idea that everybody on Earth is going to be saved by one of them because, the Flux is coming, which we're still trying to figure out exactly what the Flux is. We know it's very bad. We know that it can eat up whole systems. And how the Swarm is involved with it, I'm sure we're going to learn more and more. But I'm very intrigued. Maybe, again, I think this is the reason why the Time Lords had wiped out the Doctor's mind, because it was so bad. So I think this is that so bad thing that the Doctor did, that they had to not only force her to forget everything, but to regenerate again as a child. Because apparently that's something she said last season. Why would they make me regenerate back to a child? And how could they possibly do that? They would have to have done some sort of DNA manipulation, right? Some kind of gene splicing or something to make the Doctor revert back into a childhood state. Normally when Time Lords, once they're born or whatever happens to them, As they regenerate close to the same age, or I mean, they fluctuate a little bit younger sometimes, maybe a little bit older, as we've seen in the series. But we've never really seen a Time Lord go all the way back to infancy. I mean, what's the point in that? And maybe they can. We just don't know about it. Maybe there's like a trigger sequence that could. Okay, I'm going too far into the science of this, but I gotta say, I really I enjoyed it. I am watching it again. There is an extended version. I think that aired on the BBC America, so I'm gonna see how extended it is. But it was really nice to see all these, uh, which I guess we could call classic now creatures, like the Centaurans. Which at first I have to say I love the fact that they look very classic, but also a bit rubbery for me. Like they just seemed a little bit rubbery. And talk about looking like a potato. They really did look like a baked potato. It was cool to see Dan Starkey come back as well. So I like these new renditions of the Centaurans. So we'll see what role they have to play. Of course, the Weeping Angels are back, and we have this mysterious character named Claire, who at first you're like, okay, she's kind of coming in the same way that Sally did in the episode Blink, right? At the end, she just runs to the doctor and says, "Oh yeah, you haven't met me yet." So it's kind of like that same wave. So you know, we'll see how Claire plays in all this. Dan, I've got to say, at first I had some difficulties understanding Dan. His accent is very thick, but I've kind of enjoyed him. The only thing I felt was a bit rushed is when we entered the TARDIS. Everybody always has that TARDIS moment. But I think he was already in shock with the fact that, hey, I have been abducted by a dog alien. I'm in outer space, and now I'm going into a ship that's bigger on the inside. So maybe it was just kind of shock and so forth. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the rest of the season, seeing what else we get with the next 5 stories. It's really, I am a little sad it's only, 5 more stories, and then we'll have another story on January 1st. So we'll have a total of 7 stories with, I don't know if they're going to be interlocked, or if the 7th story on January 1st puts an end climax to this story. Then the next story in the spring will be a standalone episode, and then the fall obviously will be perhaps another standalone episode, which is feature length, leading up to the regeneration of the Doctor, the 13th Doctor, into the 14th Doctor. Hopefully, we'll have more information about who that will be. But all in all, if I were to give this a rating out of 5 stars, I would probably give it about, I'm going to go 4. I was going to go 4.5, but there were still a few moments where, I just felt like I was on a roller coaster, and which is good. I genuinely wanted to rewatch the episode because I knew I missed a few things, and it moved, which I liked. Her first season, there were times where I was just like, we don't need all the subplots. We don't need to know all of this about this person. Just get to the good parts. And I think with the Halloween apocalypse, it definitely did bring out, for example, we got an introduction to Dan, but we didn't have to talk about it for hours like we did with Ryan and his dad. It's like the whole scene in that the very first festive episode. It's just like, really? Why is this taking so long? I'm not invested in Ryan's dad, so I didn't really care. But with Dan, it was just kind of, okay, we know who he is. He's kind of down and out on his luck. He doesn't have enough food to eat. Now his house has been shrunk, which is very interesting to think about because, the master has that shrink ray. So, he's interesting. He's an interesting character, down to earth for once. And I'd like to see how this is going to play out. But it's good because he's going to be the man, kind of the one out of the loop. You got Yaz now, who can apparently help assist fly the TARDIS, and Dan has no clue what's going on. So he's all new to this, which is great. And so I definitely enjoyed it. I think that it does deserve a second viewing because I know I have missed things, and I can't even think what else to talk about because I really did. There was so much going on that's like trying to fit all the pieces. We know the Weeping Angels are there. Why are they there? Who's Claire? What's she doing? The Centaurans are ready for battle, and they're building some kind of structure to save humanity, possibly. What is this swarm, and how bad is he that he's able to communicate with the Doctor? And so that could be a clue. Some people have been kind of chiming in saying that it could potentially be another Time Lord. This because think about it, he's connecting with the Doctor directly, telepathically, and usually that's Time Lord to Time Lord. So could it be another Time Lord? Maybe. Apparently there was a bit of a regeneration for him from older age to a younger age. So now there is a rumor that was stated many months back about the TARDIS dying. So let me just say this, and again, if you haven't watched, it's going to get spoiled. But there's a moment where the Doctor notices the TARDIS is somewhat bleeding. Like there's a little puddle, and then she notices, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's okay." And the TARDIS is like mix matching the door. I really love that the door was kind of crooked at one point, and the door came out from another angle in another scene. So there's something going with the TARDIS. So the rumors that the TARDIS could be potentially dying could be true, and I think that might be a gut wrencher. Something happens to the TARDIS, and not only does the Doctor have to save the universe, but it has to save her best friend. And let's be honest, the Doctor's best friend has always been and will always be the TARDIS, because companions come and go. The TARDIS is always going to be the Doctor's home. So I hope you enjoyed my review. Again, I give it about 4 stars. I think it had some good, enjoyable moments. I had some quick pace. Writing, well, it's the writing of Chris Chibnall, so at this point, there's not much to say about it. But I do believe the Doctor has kind of found her own in this first episode, and I agree with a friend of mine who watched. It's like, okay, finally, Jodie feels like the Doctor. She has those Doctor moments, and but to be honest, almost every Doctor finds their stride in their last season. Go figure. It's like right when they get to the end, it's when they get good. So almost every series of Doctor Who that I've enjoyed from the classic, from this new series, has always usually been the final season that the actors playing the Doctor. So, all right, we'll come back next week with more Doctor Who. We're gonna have some Centaurans coming up, so we'll see what happens with them. Until then, be kind. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time.